When the time came to the middle of the night, Amy Emu woke up from his big bed with the ringtone of his mobile phone screaming. His head was still groggy now, and his eyes were full of ghosting. OMG. My head hurts. It must be that the strength of the wine and medicine has not passed. Being woken up made him can't help but smash his phone, but when he saw that it was the agent's call, he still held back his temper and connected. Paul, what's the matter? Don't you want to see what the fuck it is? Hearing Eminem's voice so irritable, the agent Paul Rosenberg shouted angrily, "Are you drinking and taking drugs again? Didn't I tell you that you can't do this, Eminem? Don't talk nonsense. Just say something quickly. I still have to sleep. I have a headache now." Eminem, I'm talking about a big thing about your future and health. Drugs and alcohol will not only destroy your brain, but also your body, and you can't continue to sink. But people who are already addicted to drugs will not easily listen to others, especially Emium. The word riffraff is not called in vain. Emium's voice was very impatient. I've said it many times. Don't worry about it. If it's okay, I'm going to hang up. Wait, don't hang up. Your body is up to you. I'm going to talk about the song, and our strategy has worked. What? Emium's dazed head couldn't react at all. I said our hype strategy worked. Michael Jackson was so much talked about. It was the right thing to call him abusive, and now your new song is climbing up the Billboard rankings. He punched himself hard in the head, and Emium was more sober. You're calling in the middle of the night just to tell me about it? Is there something wrong with your head? This was expected a long time ago. Otherwise, why would I be scolding Jackson specifically? No, that's just a point. What I'm trying to tell you is that now Jackson's supporters are starting to fight back, and a lot of people are criticizing you, and the reporters are going to squat at you. All you have to do is keep your mouth shut, and I'll answer everything, you know? Paul, do you think I'm a child? It's not the first time I've used this tactic, and I know what to do. Okay, anyway, this time it's Michael Jackson. He's not at the same level as the person you scolded before. You remember, for me, you must not talk nonsense. Paul Rosenberg wanted to emphasize a few more words, but the phone had been hung up, and a nameless fire surged up, so angry that he threw the phone on the bed. This damn guy, if it weren't for your talent, if it wasn't for the success of your packaging, would you think I'd be angry with this? On the bed, the woman who was hit by the mobile phone opened her eyes. Paul, what are you doing? After swallowing half a bottle of water, Paul Rosenberg said angrily, "Who else could it be? Of course, it's that son of a bitch, Eminem. Obviously in his 30s, his mind is still like a teenage street thug. Did he you off again? He's not going to me off one day. He's a big nuisance. More trouble than those rappers. But he can make you money. Yes, but that's all that's left." Talion returned to the earth, and the adequate sleep finally freed Emium from his headache for a while, and he washed his face and walked out of the house. As soon as I got into the car, there were many reporters who had been waiting here for a long time. Everyone knows that Emium is a thorn in the eye, and he often gets the news by his side, so there are always a lot of people squatting around his house, but today there are a lot of them. Pulling the car door, Eminem simply stepped out of the driver's seat for an interview. He loved and enjoyed the feeling of being watched, which made him feel empowered and confident. Hey, Benny, Charlie, get closer. It's too far for you to hear me. Smile. And greet the familiar reporter to get closer. As for last night's agent's advice, he has long forgotten it. The dual effect of alcohol and drugs. It is easy to make people in a trance, maybe a dream in his mind. Eminem, a lot of people are criticizing your new single right now. Are you deliberately insulting Michael Jackson? Amy M. snorted. Of course not. I don't want to insult anyone. It's just my style of songs. I've always been. So, what do you think of the criticism, especially Eric Cooper's? Eric Cooper, who is this guy? What did he say? Amy M. blurted out. Eric Cooper is a supporter of Jackson, and he scolds you for being a mad dog who only bites indiscriminately and wants to use Jackson's fame to hype himself up and boost song sales, saying that you are just a poor boy who used his childhood misfortunes to gain sympathy. Ugh. Reporters told Eminem exactly what he said during the interview yesterday, and for a little ruffian like him, every sentence felt like a real injury. Especially this criticism about childhood, which made Eminem feel like his lungs were about to explode. At this time, Pravda's reporter didn't think it was a big deal to see the excitement, so he took out the freshly baked newspaper and handed it over. Eminem, maybe you can read the report first, and then answer the question. Eminem didn't answer the newspaper, but when he glanced at it, he saw the big headline. The longer I spend with people, the more I like dogs. Dogs are always dogs, and people are really not human sometimes. Under the influence of alcohol and drugs, the anger that could have been suppressed exploded instantly, and Eminem began to curse. The words that start with F keep popping out of his mouth, and his expression becomes hideous and crazy. Seeing a black reporter holding a camera, he rushed directly to snatch it. What are you recording? I say, what are you recording? Don't record it. FXXX. The scene instantly became chaotic, but even so, some reporters continued to stir up trouble. Eminem, Eric Cooper said you were a racist, are you really? FXXX. Stop shooting. Get out of here. Get out of my turf. At this time, a car approached quickly, and the agent Paul Rosenberg hurriedly jumped out of the car, and the last thing he wanted to see happened in a hurry. He hurriedly rushed into the crowd, pulled Amy AMU out and shouted, Eminem is not being interviewed now. I will answer any questions. Eminem waved his fist and still shouted and cursed until he was glared at by the agent fiercely. Go back, Eminem. After a few breaths, the little ruffian's brain was rewired. Thinking about his behavior just now, his heart was suddenly extremely annoyed, and he walked back home in a gloomy manner. Of course, the paparazzi in the private territory did not dare to break into it again, so they could only point the microphone at Paul Rosenberg and ask the question again. Rosenberg's face was grim. No, Eminem has never been malicious. He respects Michael Jackson very much. What hype? We certainly weren't hype, and we didn't need hype. Eminem's talent was there for all to see. He was the first rapper to win an Oscar. Eric Cooper's assessment is ridiculous, and we are unhappy and sorry for it, and it is clear that this white elite does not understand hip-hop and what rap is. His remarks are infuriating, and we reserve the right to go to court about it. Okay, that's it, gentlemen. Eminem is a singer. It's impossible to defeat him through words and public opinion. If you want to prove Eminem wrong, then take out your music and fight it out. After saying that, Paul Rosenberg ignored the reporter anymore, and after knocking on the door, there was a big scolding that cut his head and covered his face. Eminem, are you fucking crazy? I warned you not to talk nonsense. You want me to wipe your ass every time you fucking say the wrong thing. Eminem bowed his head in a rare way. Excuse me, Paul, but the group of people out there? I don't know what you said, and I don't know how they're going to report it, but you have to bite the bullet in one thing, and that's that music is better than music. From now on, don't talk about my childhood misfortunes, let alone say racist things, or no one will be able to save you, understand? I know, I won't lose to anyone than music, not even Michael Jackson, not to mention that this pedophile is now entangled in lawsuits, and he doesn't have the energy to create I won. It's good to know, Eminem, you must quit drinking and medicine, otherwise sooner or later you will be finished. Think about your daughter, don't go on like this. Entertainment news has always been the most popular among the public. From the day before yesterday when the ruffian Eminem released a new song, to yesterday Eric directly sprayed, both the internet and reality have exploded. Since MJ's lawsuit has not yet been heard, there are still many people who believe that his child molestation case is true, and whether they believe it or not is probably half open. Therefore, those who scold on the internet are equally open to those who support them. The supporters said that the ruffian Eminem's true temperament is to dare to scold and to do things that others dare not do. Those who scolded him said that he was chasing after the wind and shadows, fabricating facts, and had no respect for his predecessors. When Eric's interview came out, the people who scolded him simply used the word mad dog to refer to Eminem. Marketing words such as childhood misery, racial discrimination, little ghosts who don't grow up, and uneducated hooligans are all buckled on him. This time, the main battlefield is not MGM's official website, but the official website and forum of Amy M's contracted company, the music label Aftermath, with all kinds of swear words on the screen. After 2 days of fighting, the heat of the scolding between the two sides has decreased, mainly because everyone is waiting for Eminem's reaction, and everyone knows that he is not a master who will not talk back after being scolded. Sure enough, just after lunchtime, around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, one after another, the media released Eminem's interviews one after another. Supporters of Eminem would have liked to see him fight back, only to find out that the idol in the video is a violent maniac and a madman. His bared teeth were no different from a mad dog, as Eric Cooper said. In particular, the comparison of Eric's interview video creates a strong contrast, one logical and elegant scolding, and the other only barking like crazy. In terms of appearance, Eric is 10 times better than Eminem. In terms of status, Eric crushes Eminem. In terms of financial resources, the two are not comparable at all. That is, if you are more talented, Eric's work has not yet been released, and this aspect is weaker. As soon as this wave of comparisons came out, some teenagers who originally stood in line with Eminem began to withdraw silently, and even many little girls secretly changed their doors and became Eric's supporters. This is the case in the United States, or the whole world, that people with good looks, money, and taste have always been able to attract the attention and envy of young people. Otherwise, why is Wang Shitsong popular? And why are so many people keen to show off their wealth? The point is that Eric is young enough, 10 years younger than Eminem, and in the eyes of the little girl, the charm is naturally a ruffian hooligan. Some people quit silently, some people changed their faces, and the rest were speechless. The eldest brother pulls his crotch like this. How can they charge? It wasn't until Paul Rosenberg finally came to the end that these sunspots regained their support points. No matter how others scold, it means that a musician wants to be superior to music, and if he has the ability to let Jackson also release a song, he can scold him back. But everyone knows that MJ simply doesn't have the time or energy to take care of new songs, and last year's 10,000 Enemies sales did not meet expectations, and now they are even more mired. The supporters of Eminem know this, and happily use this as a shout, mocking MJ for being outdated and an old monster who should have faded his halo a long time ago. And just when everyone thought MJ wouldn't fight, he gave a public interview to Fox TV. Maiko, for a long time, there has been a constant discussion about you. Some people scold you, some people support you. Do you want to say something? The moderator asked. Maiko replied calmly, I don't want to explain anymore. The law will return my innocence, and it will be my trial soon, and everyone is welcome to pay attention. So, you think you're absolutely innocent? Yes, I have never done anything against the law. Not before and never will. Okay, everyone will remember your words today. Let's wait and see. Then there's the next question, about Eminem's new song, which has been noisy on the internet in the past 2 days. What do you think? Maiko shook his head slightly. It's just a boring kid's trick. He wants to attract attention, like a child shouting for me candy. The difference is that he is not cute. Ha 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 ha. The host burst into laughter. And what about his challenge, the musical showdown? Very good, I accept it. What? I said I accepted the challenge. Hearing this answer, the host was a little surprised. This interview was a temporary guest, and there was no script at all. MJ's answer was really beyond his expectations. "Maiko, do you have time to record a new song now?" "Of course, I've already recorded it, and it's going to be released soon." "OMG, this is really big news. Can you reveal the content of the song?" the host asked hurriedly. My buckle nodded slightly. "This song describes my state of mind, contains some painful struggles, and the lyrics come from my good friend." "Who is it?" "Eric Cooper." Host: "Huh. Half of the body is better, and now only the whole body is sore. Everyone should pay attention to the body and rest early." After the announcement of Maiko's interview video, it naturally sparked a wide range of discussions. True Love fans are both excited and distressed, rolling in the abyss, and the title of this song is very sad as soon as you hear it, which is in line with MJ's current situation. Black fans and Eminem supporters are equally excited, and after the release of this new song, they will find fault with it, which is a regular operation. The only thing that surprised both parties was that the lyricist turned out to be Eric Cooper. On a music forum, many people expressed their opinions. Have you watched the interview? MJ's new song lyricist turned out to be Eric Cooper. Isn't he a rich second generation? And understands music? Eric Cooper is not only a rich second generation, but also a director and screenwriter, and as a diehard supporter of MJ, he will definitely not mess around. You're right, the two do smell the same. Maybe they're both pedophiles. Eminem's little ghost only knows how to attack people. Go back and ask your parents. They will teach you who Michael Jackson is. Mom and Dad? This kind of imp may not have parents at all, otherwise he wouldn't only understand the words that start with F, and he wouldn't even understand a logical sentence. Fuck. An old antique that can't keep up with the times, singing the old songs of the last century, far worse than Eminem. Look at the data of Eminem's new songs. It is climbing and will soon reach the top, and pedophiles will have to kneel down and lick Eminem's major tune. Just as any group will eventually evolve into a color group, any topic will eventually evolve into a tear. In addition to the scolding war between the two sides, the rest is a neutral melon-eating group. None of them like it, and they belong to the song and not the person. The song is good. No matter how bad the character is, these people will listen to it too. But even if it is a super king, they will only pick a few songs with the highest quality to listen to. After all, it is impossible for every song to be the title song. I've heard, just lost it. The groove and musicality are great. The Anteaters are a great rap song, and now I can't wait to hear Michael Jackson's new song. The competition between the old king and the top singer of the new era. This is really an exciting showdown, but I don't know what the losing side will do when the time comes. Ha ha ha, what else can I do? It is impossible for the character of the ruffian Eminem to apologize, and when the time comes, he will pretend to be a grandson and pretend to be dumb. If Jackson loses, it's going to make it worse for him at the moment, and I can't imagine what he's going to do. Beverly Hills, Cooper's house. Mom walked up to the second floor with a dinner plate. "Eric, your breakfast." Click. The door opened. Eric took the plate. Today is May 31st, the 6th day of his retreat. Now Eric Cooper has a scruffy beard and bloodshot eyes and looks very decadent, but there is another kind of gothic beauty. "Son, are you okay?" asked my mother with concern. "Yes, great. I'm in high spirits right now. I've just finished the first draft of the House of Cards script in just 6 days, which is a miracle." Hearing this, my mother breathed a sigh of relief. "Then go downstairs. You are stuck in the room all day. We are all worried." "Oh, I'm sorry, Mom, for worrying you, but I'll just check the script again. Do you want to continue?" "Yes, this is a very important project, and I can't afford to lose it, and I don't feel comfortable handing it over to others." Closing the door, Eric sighed, and it wasn't just his family who cared about him. During the retreat, Godot, the Olsen sisters, Nico, Sevi, Judy, and others all called or texted. That is, it is not the era of mobile internet, and the functionality of mobile phones is not strong. Otherwise, you must lock your mobile phone in the safe so that you can concentrate on writing the script. During this period, Andrea called on behalf of the crew of Adele's life, and at this moment she also felt the pain of Pyjeggins at the beginning. Damn, which director can leave the crew and run away for more than 10 days, and there is no news at all, even if he directs from the air. When this movie is made, is it yours or mine? There are some difficult scenes Andrea can't eat. She is not as bold as Patty Jenkins. She doesn't dare to start at all, and now the progress of the crew is very slow, waiting for him to come back. Patty Jenkins also came with news. She had persuaded Charlize Theron to star in The Devil Woman and called him to ask for funding. With a wave of his hand, Eric gave her $8 million. In Eric's opinion, the biggest expense of The Witch should be makeup. For this kind of film adapted from real events without big scenes, $8 million is already a lot. This is still based on Patty's love for following him and paying for his hard work, otherwise he could have won $5 or $6 million. Ashley and Mary complained that he had broken his promise and promised to go to the house for dinner this week, but they disappeared for a few days, causing little Elizabeth to be happy again, and the two sisters' hormones were also restless. Godot, and she wanted to run to Beverly Hills, but reason told her she couldn't. Nico is very mature to express her support for Eric. Men should focus on their careers, regardless of whether what they say is true or not. This is the attitude of mature women. And Louis Faye's mother and daughter also arrived in Los Angeles, and Eric definitely didn't have time to see them, so he dealt with it in a few words. Warren reported on the box office of the first weekend of Human Eradication Project, and this time Eric made the decision and opened directly in the 1720 cinema, which was much more generous than Sharknado. Although the number of moviegoers at the premiere was small, the reputation of film critics and online reviews was very good. IMDb now has a score of 6.9, which is equivalent to a high score for a commercial film that cannot be studied deeply. The freshness of Rotten Tomatoes reached 81%, and this data Eric was also shocked to see, and it was too high. The following audience comments are mainly focused on the confrontation between the government army and the rebel army, and many people are looking forward to this will be the plot of the next part. The audience's reaction just proves the success of Eric's adaptation, but the next one may not be easy to film. Once it comes to the confrontation between the two forces, the cost will definitely soar, and now the key is to see how much box office the movie can get. Currently, Human Eradication grossed $22.18 million in the first 3-day weekend and $45.9 million in the first 7-day period. This statistic surpassed the $33.22 million of The Matrix 2, Reloaded, in one fell swoop, and successfully won the championship of a weekend. Even though it's the third week of The Matrix 2, it's still not easy. Compared to the $3 million production cost and less than $1 million in publicity expenses for Human Eradication Project, there is no doubt that it has been doubled. The brilliant results have once again attracted the attention of many companies. At the beginning, the success of Sharknado made New Line and Lionsgate think of merging, but later everyone in the circle knew about the relationship between AK Film and MGM, so naturally no one had this kind of thinking anymore. And Eric heard that Diamond Company is planning to set up its own bad film company and wants to replicate MGM's way, and the road to bad movies is also full of competition. It took a few more hours to refine the script, to mark out what felt inappropriate, and by the evening, the first draft of the script for House of Cards was finally completed. The next thing is to find a script doctor and refine the processing, and then it will be about the same. After thinking about it, Eric opened the mailbox and sent a message to Billy, who was far away in England, asking him to ask for Michael Dobbs's opinion. OMG. After doing all this, as if a big project had been completed, Eric stretched out his arms and stretched hard, and then fell asleep. In a daze, I was woken up by the phone ringing, and I took it and looked at it. It was a button. Hey, Eric, do you have time to come out? Of course, what's wrong? It's nothing. I have an interview in Los Angeles in the evening. It's still early. Have you eaten? No, but isn't it too flamboyant outside? Especially a big star like you. It's better to come to my house. Thanks, but I didn't bring a gift. Let's come back another day. I know there's a private dining room and we can go there. No problem. Tell me the address. I'll see you later. Meh. Ko is a very shy person, and it is really inappropriate to suddenly invite him to the house, and he will feel uncomfortable when there are many people. Getting up to wash, he hadn't taken a shower in a week. Smelling his own body, Eric pinched his nose in disgust, washed off the dust, shaved his beard, and turned into that young and handsome guy again. Eric, are you done with your job? You're going out again. Asked a friend out for dinner. Leave me alone. Walking to the garage, Eric suddenly discovers that his car is missing. It must have been kicked out by Joshua. Shaking his head, he rubbed his still a little drowsy Tyleon acupoint and decided not to drive. The sleep time was seriously insufficient, and in case of an accident, he would not be reborn in vain. A taxi was flagged down, and Eric got in. Where are you going, sir? New Hub Street, Leonard's restaurant. Do you know this place? The driver nodded. Of course, there is no place I don't know. It's a private dining room. You know that. Because I'm working in Beverly Hills, I didn't know about it, but when more people go, I will know it. Do you mind if I have some music? It doesn't matter. Just let it go. Driver kicked the accelerator and the car started, and at the same time, the dynamic rhythm sounded from the car horn. Listening to the prelude, Eric couldn't help but laugh out loud, and the song released in it was Rolling in the Deep. There's a fire starting in my heart, reaching a fever pitch, and it's bringing me out the dark. But you played it. You played it. You played it. You played it to the beat. In the middle of the song, Eric hums along. Adele and My Buckle sing differently, of course, but it also makes Eric understand why good singers are ever-changing. For truly top singers, genres and tunes are not at all a reason to limit them. Even if it is really because of the rigid conditions of physical function, they can find a suitable way to sing. What's more, the difficulty of singing Rolling in the Deep is not very high, and it is completely capable of mastering it for Maiku, and his singing skills are first class in the world. After his singing, the song not only retains Adele's feeling, but also integrates into Jackson's musical style. It is impossible to judge which version is better, and it has its own characteristics. How's that? Sounds good, isn't it? It's Michael Jackson's new song, and it's just been released. Eric nodded. It's really good. You're a fan of Jackson? The driver laughed. Look at my age. Young man, I came from Jackson's era, when he made the whole world crazy, and I and many friends chased his concert all over the country. Alas, but now my is not in a good situation. I will never believe the rumors of child prostitution, but what can we do? Listening to the driver's uncle's words, Eric couldn't help but sigh. A large number of fans of Maiku are concentrated in the age group of 30 to 40 years old. This group of people has to be busy and live, and naturally it is impossible to pay attention to their former idols all the time like young people. But this group of people also has a characteristic, that is, they have money, and the capital of society and the right to speak are actually in their hands, but they need to be guided out in a suitable way. Just look at the strikes of the major unions, such as truck union strikes that can shut down transportation capacity across the United States, teachers' union strikes that can shut down schools, port and terminal union strikes that can paralyze terminals on both sides of the river, and so on. I'm also a fan of Maiku, and I must buy his new song. Eric said, I'll buy it too, and now it's the only way to support my club. Car arrived at Leonard's restaurant, where my buckle was already waiting. Eric ordered himself a sumptuous dinner, and my buckle was a little surprised. Eric, are you hungry? Sort of. I've been busy with a script lately, and I've consumed too much energy. I see. I remember. You're still a screenwriter, and your name was written on the recent Human Eradication Project. Do you still have time to watch a movie? Said Eric, a little surprised. You can't be tense forever. It's like a string that breaks after a long time. We all need to relax, and I'm going to watch Finding Nemo in 2 days. I love animated movies. Eric nodded. Although Finding Nemo and I are competitors, I still recommend watching it. This film is really good. Maiko, are you coming to Los Angeles to hit the charts? Almost. It's actually a music interview, and I've been doing something like that for the past few days, which will help sell the singles. This kind of thing is often used by newcomers and singers who are not famous enough in the music industry, and superstars like MJ usually don't need it, which is a special situation now. Is the CD officially on sale? DreamWorks is ready, and the release is set for tomorrow. Eric smiled. That's good. Facebook will also be launched tomorrow, and when the time comes, you will promote it yourself, and I will help you promote it. As for that riffraff Eminem, I'll give him some color and see. He doesn't want to use Facebook or any of MGM's social networks in his life. My co-frowned slightly. Is this good? Is it a violation of the right to freedom of speech? Freedom? Freedom of speech can't be nonsense. What he says and does is completely bad for the next generation, and it is reasonable for me to ban him on this ground, so if I am not convinced, I will go to court. What's more, with that ruffian's character, I don't believe he would choose to go to court. That's right, Eminem will most likely write another song to scold us.
Mais cool.
By the way, now you're in the Billboard? Billboard rankings are mainly based on sales, and when they go on sale tomorrow, the results will be available in a week. June 1st, 2003. Today is the day when Facebook is officially launched. The University of California, Los Angeles, as one of the public Ivy Leagues, is home to some of the best students from all over the world. As a well-off student, Barry doesn't have to pay for his own tuition, and he has his own laptop. Wake up as usual. The first thing you do when you open your eyes is to open your notebook and expertly knock on Google to see what interesting news happened in the world this past night. As a result, there is a large line of words, Facebook, let everyone be the protagonist. As a seasoned surfer, Barry instantly understood that this was an advertisement, and even the space was too large. Shaking his head, he didn't have much interest in clicking on it, browsing it, and finding nothing interesting. Then I quit Google and opened Yahoo again, but the most conspicuous sentence on the first screen was, Facebook, let everyone be the protagonist. After a moment's hesitation, this time Barry clicked in, gave himself a fake name, entered gender, age, school, and other information, and he came to his main interface. It took more than 10 minutes. Probably reading the introduction, understanding Facebook's business gameplay, and then he posted the first text update. And when he got up and finished washing up and checked his notebook again, the exclamation mark in the upper right corner reminded him that there was new news. Click to view. There were 2 comments below the news just released. In addition, there is a girl's friend application. Of course, no one knows if it's a girl behind the computer. This couldn't help but make Barry feel new and excited, an experience like this before. If you want to make an analogy, it's like stealing the phone to call the customer service lady when you were young. The friend application was approved immediately, and Barry's friend list appeared with the first name. Holding the notebook and leaving the dormitory, his feet did not stop, but his eyes were always fixed on the notebook screen. Barry found that through the girl, he was able to see the main interface and post news of the other friend, and was able to add the girl's friend as a friend. This also means that if 2 people become friends, it does not only represent 2 people, but also the huge network behind them. Just like a neuron can emit countless branches, as long as you are willing to try, You can add a full 5,000 people to your friend list because Facebook only supports the 5,000 people cap for the time being. Hey, junior brother, look ahead when you walk. Suddenly, a voice of persuasion rang in his ears, and Barry looked up to see a sexy and hot blonde beauty leaning against a pillar in the corridor looking at him. Laura Leon. Barry couldn't help blurting out the other party's name. The beautiful girl opposite was a member of the school cheerleader, the dream lover of many boys, and the boys' private pornography, always an indispensable regular. "You know me?" asked Laura Leon with a smile. "Of course, who doesn't know you in this school?" Giggles, "Am I so popular? But I don't seem to know you. We're not friends yet." Barry thought to himself that his friends were all in the varsity team and that my physique would not be smashed on the playground. "Junior, if you want to be my friend, add my Facebook account so you can know what I'm doing all the time." Barry nodded hurriedly. "I'm using Facebook, you see." Two added friends, and after waving goodbye to Laura Leon, Barry happily continued to walk towards the classroom. As a result, along the way, he found that many handsome men and women were pulling people to do promotion, either school team members or cheerleading team members, and then Barry suddenly realized that it was an advertisement again. But even if he knew that it was an advertisement, he was reluctant to delete it. These members of the school team and cheerleading team are all school figures. How can they usually have an intersection with themselves? And now they have nature to cherish. Besides, although it hasn't been for a long time, Barry found this Facebook post quite interesting, and his posts can also attract comments from others, which makes him find a cool point to be the center of the crowd. Facebook, let everyone be the protagonist. Barry seems to understand the meaning of the slogan. The same thing is happening in major colleges and universities across the United States, and many college students, as the group of people with the strongest ability to accept new things, soon chose to join Facebook. Instead of going to MGM today, Eric took a plane to Silicon Valley early in the morning and is now sitting on the office floor where Facebook is located. He, along with Fitz Heitenberg, Robert Millen, and Howard Hughes, gathered in front of the computer and watched the backstage data. "I saw that the original number of user registrations suddenly jumped from 0 to 544. Eric looked down at the time. It's only been less than 5 minutes, and there are more than 500 new users, which is a very good trend. Because you have the right promotion strategy, boss, there is no better soil in this world for Facebook than a college campus." Heisenberg complimented. Eric smiled. "How's the server thing?" "I'm purchasing. I've placed an order. In fact, as long as it's completed within a month, I believe it's not a big problem. With the current server capacity, it can definitely hold up, unless people are crazy. Don't take it lightly. Give users the best experience all the time and face challengers so that we can always be invincible. By the way, Fitz, I suddenly found a problem. Although Facebook supports users to post picture updates, but whether you use a mobile phone or a camera, the upload of pictures always depends on data cables or memory cards. Can you make a software to make picture transfer more convenient?" "Boss, do you mean ditching the cable or the memory card?" "That's right." Fitz thought for a moment. "It shouldn't be difficult. We can develop a plugin with Bluetooth technology built into Facebook. Users only need to match the Bluetooth of mobile phones and computers to transmit, but there are problems." "What's the problem?" "From the perspective of mobile phones, most of them now have built-in Bluetooth functions, but the use cycle of computers is longer, and there is a high probability that some or older ones do not have Bluetooth modules installed." Eric smiled. "It's not our problem. The user's problem needs to be solved by themselves. We only provide a convenient path. Maybe it can also stimulate consumption. Those electronic product manufacturers should thank us." "Well, I'll finish this plugin as soon as possible. It's not too technically difficult, and it's estimated that it will be about the same in a week." Eric nodded. "Just use this plugin as the first version update of Facebook, and we will have to keep rolling out new content in the future. Once a month is the minimum. Likes, blocks, Privacy settings, viewing visitors, search engines, friend auto recommendations, mini-games. I need you to complete it slowly. Don't worry, boss, I know what to do. As he spoke, the backstage numbers jumped again, directly from 3554 to 15387. Eric's eyes lit up. Why did it suddenly grow so much? The technical guy next to him entered the database and began to check, and after a while, he turned his head and reported, "Boss, it was Nicole Kidman who registered an account and posted a news, and she brought a considerable amount of traffic." As a social networking software, Facebook's real name system is the primary condition, and without this foundation, the sense of realism will be greatly weakened, so the technology can quickly lock the target from the background. However, this real name system is only a broad concept, and the internal procedures of the system can only judge whether it is a person's name, but cannot judge whether the name is real. For example, if you name it shit, you will know that it is not a person's name at a glance, then you will not be able to complete the registration. And your real name is Sheldon, but you signed up with Leonard. Congratulations on your successful registration. Facebook can only go so far and wants to really complete the real name system, similar to the real name system in later generations of China. It is necessary to access the federal database and pour private information, such as citizens' social security account numbers, into Facebook's database. However, if you think about it, you know that it is impossible and the law cannot be passed. Moreover, Facebook has been sued and fined more often due to technical reasons. That is, it did not lead to too serious consequences, and the intersection of the crime was a so-so. If it is really connected to the federal database, it will be more than just an innocuous mobile phone number and email account that will be leaked. The requirement of real name system adds a hurdle to everyone. Big stars will definitely use their real names, which can enhance exposure and publicity, unless they plan to open a trumpet to fight others. For example, basketball stars James and Durant like to open trumpets to scold themselves or scold others. Meghan Markle even opened 12 trumpets in a row to scold her sister-in-law Kate Middleton, and China's famous Yuanli dog stealing incident was even played into a stock. Unlike big stars, ordinary people are casual, and really no one knows what is behind the computer. Eric sat down on a computer, logged into his Facebook account, searched for Nico, and clicked Add Friends. Waited for a while, but did not pass. He re-added it, but it still didn't pass. After trying several times in a row, Eric simply made a phone call, and this time it was answered in seconds. "Nico, I saw that you opened a Facebook account. Why didn't you add your friends?" On the other side was Nico's slightly helpless voice. "Eric, is it really you? You don't know, since I logged in, there have been dozens of Eric Cooper who want to add me as friends, and there are other friends. I can't tell who is real and who is fake." I passed the first one, and after a few words on the other side, I started asking for my photos, nude to be exact. I'm alert. Fortunately, I didn't send it to the other party in a hot head. Otherwise, I would definitely have one piece of news tomorrow. Eric instantly understood that it was a matter of duplicate names, and when he thought about it, it was strange that hundreds of millions of people did not have duplicate names, not to mention that there were those who fished in troubled waters. "I know. You remember my ID. Just search and add me. Hang up. You reminded me of something. I have to deal with it quickly." After saying that, Eric hung up the phone and hurried out of the small room. "Fitz, now use our official account to send a message to everyone, warning everyone that there are many users with duplicate names. Don't be fooled. If the other party asks for money, sensitive information, etc., be sure to verify it by phone. Don't be easily fooled." Hearing this, Fitz slapped his head and realized that this could be a big problem. Especially Facebook, as the first social networking software, everyone has no experience, and if someone plays bad at this time, Facebook will definitely suffer. The message was sent quickly, and after more than 10 seconds, the technical brother nodded and said that it was done. Fitz sighed. Now is the accumulation period of new users. There will be a large influx of new users every moment. You should resend this message every hour." As he spoke, he looked at Eric. "Boss, is it okay to do this? Can you tell the difference? Only remind newly registered users and remind the same user multiple times, which may cause boredom for the other party." "Sorry, boss, our backend isn't that smart yet." Fitz shook his head. After a moment's hesitation, Eric said, "I don't think it's a good way, so let's put a reminder on the Facebook login screen under Welcome to Facebook. As soon as the user logs in again, this interface will pop up, and if someone is still fooled, it can only be said that this kind of person is suitable for playing Atari at home." Everyone's faces were happy. This is indeed a simple and labor-saving good way. "Fitz, there's another feature to be developed, which is real name verification for public figures, including all current and future public figures who join Facebook. Whether it is the political circle, the film and television circle, the song circle, or the fashion circle, as long as the user labels himself as a public figure, he must ask for information authentication. After the certification is passed, you can add a striking suffix to the end of the name or other methods. You can discuss the specifics." "Boss, what about ordinary users?" "General users also need to set up an insurance. The other party uses a real name when registering. We don't care, but no matter what the reason, once the account is banned, if you want to unblock, you must have real name authentication, and if you pass, you will unblock, and if you can't pass it, you will be permanently banned." Fitz carefully jotted down Eric's request. "Okay, this feature will go live with the Bluetooth plugin." "Boss, thanks to you flying all the way to sit in town, even though we have thought about it a lot, there are still too many problems that we haven't taken into account. Especially in the face of such a very harmful sudden problem. If it weren't for your on-site command, everyone would definitely be in a mess." Eric smiled. "You can shoot less horses, you have to do more things, and the problem of face writing may also be a problem faced by YouTube and Lionheart in the future, and it will be good for everyone to solve it." As he spoke, he looked at Robert Marin and Howard Hughes. "Facebook will be busy lately. You can come and help out if necessary." Two nodded yes. At this time, the data jumped wildly again, directly breaking through from 38453 to 56123, an increase of nearly 20,000 new users. The background data is set to automatically refresh every 10 minutes. The reason for the wild jump in data must be that there are stars settled in again. Check the backstage and see whose role it is. Without Eric's order, the technical brother had already started in advance and quickly locked onto the target. Holding the glasses on the bridge of his nose, the little brother shouted excitedly, "Boss, big star." "Who? How big?" "Keanu Reeves. His The Matrix is just amazing." Hearing the name of Keanu Reeves, many people around showed interested eyes, and it seems that The Matrix has a high status in the hearts of this group of technocrats. Howard Hughes was a little puzzled. "Is Keanu Reeves more popular than Nicole Kidman? I remember that Nicole Kidman just won the Oscar." Eric explained, "The popularity of celebrities cannot only be judged by awards. Awards are just one of the pluses, and many literary awards are not known by many people. After Nicole Kidman won the Oscar, there has been no new work released in the past 2 months, and the number of times it has been on the news is only a handful, reflecting that the popularity on the internet has naturally declined. The Matrix 2 Reloaded is currently in theaters. Keanu Reeves is in the limelight now, and there are naturally more people searching for him on the internet. As long as you type Keanu Reeves' name into the browser, you will inevitably be retrieved by a crawler for the keyword on the Facebook homepage." Netizens clicked in and saw the idol's homepage and wanted to click on it and found that they needed to register an account. Even if only 1 in 10 people registered, it was a very terrifying drainage to accumulate over time. Howard nodded. His doubts actually had a more intuitive reaction. That is, the salary difference between actors and actresses is huge, and unequal pay for equal work is commonplace. In Hollywood, or in the entertainment industry around the world, there is no data that can reflect the popularity and value of an actor more than salary. Digging deeper, there is deep-rooted sexism, which is as strong as skin color discrimination, which is the same as workplace discrimination. Capital is willing to give higher salaries to male actors because of market recognition, and it is precisely the female audience that has played a significant role in raising these male actors to high positions. On the contrary, if an actress asks for a higher salary, she is often replaced. This phenomenon did not fundamentally change until the rise of Black Lives Matter and women's boxing more than a decade later. Black lives are expensive, and other lives of non-white skin colors are still cheap. Women's boxing is fierce, and the salary she gets has also risen, but it has brought a lot of bad movies, and word of mouth has been ruined a lot. Look at Captain Marvel 2. After staring at the backstage data for a while, Eric found that the rising numbers felt good, like watching a movie at the box office. But after staring for a long time, flickering and ghosting began to appear in front of his eyes, and fatigue hit, and he yawned. I flew here early this morning, and my limbs were a little sore after a week of retreat. I'll go take a rest and wake me up if something happens. After saying hello, Eric returned to the small room, lay down on the couch, and began to sleep. False sleep soon turned into a deep sleep, and by the time I opened my eyes again, it was already 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was past lunchtime. After a good night's sleep, feeling much better, Eric shook his head and walked out of the small room. Found that it was still busy outside, and it seemed that everyone was nailed to their posts and did not leave. Thinking that he had just slept and couldn't help but feel a little ashamed, Eric looked at Heisenberg and said, "Fitz, have you eaten?" Fitz pointed to the box behind him. "The burger and cocoa we ordered, boss. Left one for you." Eric picked up the burger and took a bite. "Let's take shifts to rest. There's no need for everyone to be nailed here. It's still growing today, and someone needs to be there at night." Eric spoke, and the crowd began to leave their seats. "How many registered users are there now?" Taking a sip of water, Eric asked. "Boss, I'm afraid you can't think about it. 500,000 people. It's already more than 500,000. Fitz said loudly, his eyebrows fluttering.
So fast.
Eric was also surprised to hear this number. That is 500,000 people, the population of several cities, and he can elect several seats in the council. He hurriedly walked to the computer, only to see a big number hanging there, 513780. Boss, in just a few hours, stars such as the Olsen sisters, Edward Norton, Johnny Depp, Orlando Bloom, Julianne Moore, Tom Hanks, and others have opened Facebook accounts. The celebrity effect is really terrifying and fans naturally follow, and when it comes to the evening, when it comes to the break, it is expected to attract more users. Good news was so uplifting that even Eric couldn't help but laugh out loud. He opened the celebrities' homepages to see what they had to say. Then I found that there are still a lot of smart people, and even if there is no reminder, there are still many people who realize that social equals propaganda. So those who have works take the opportunity to promote a wave, and those who don't have works for the time being send some selfies to increase exposure, which are all good choices. Johnny Depp. I'm Johnny Depp. Welcome everyone to follow me. The movie Pirates of the Caribbean, starring me, will be released on July 9th. I hope you will come to the cinema to support you. Orlando Bloom. Hello my fans, it's a pleasure to meet you on Facebook. Thank you very much for your continued support. I have 2 movies released this year, Pirates of the Caribbean and The Lord of the Rings 3, The Return of the King. I hope you like it. Heath Ledger. Today I found an interesting place on the internet. It's called Facebook, where I can share my daily life with my fans. After more than 10 minutes, I probably went to see how others played and found that it was okay to engage in publicity, and then Heath Ledger posted another one. Right now I'm working on the film Sin Eater, which brings together great directors and actors, as well as excellent scripts, and I will keep you updated on the progress of the filming. Edward Norton. as a literary male god with a great personality, has always taken an unusual path, and he posted a photo of sitting on Leon Terrace reading a book. The accompanying text is, "Books can make people intoxicated. Books can cleanse the soul, and when I'm not filming, I like to immerse myself in the ocean of books." Eric couldn't help but laugh, and he didn't know if Edward Norton did it intentionally or accidentally, which was equivalent to setting himself up in later generations. Jean Dong, Nobel Prize in Mathematics, what about you? Leonardo DiCaprio posted a message saying that he was on vacation in Hawaii, but he still had to help good brother Tobey Maguire's new movie, The Pentium Age, is promoted. Some of these people have more than 100,000 fans in a short period of time, such as Xiao Lizhi, Depp, and Keanu Reeves. Lesser ones like Nico, Edward Norton, Orlando Bloom, and others also have 60 or 70,000 followers. No matter how few like Ashley and Mary are, there are only more than 30,000 fans, and the little cheap Ryan Reynolds only has more than 10,000, and the difference in popularity is obvious. Eric searched for Godot's name again, and immediately popped up more than a dozen duplicate names, 5 of which used photos of Godot himself. When he clicked on the homepage of these 5 people, he found that they were all counterfeits. It is estimated that the real Godot is filming, and he can't even bother to open an account. Has Michael Jackson opened an account? The technical guy checked. "Boss, I didn't find the real Jackson." Check again. Has Emmy Emu registered? After a while, the little brother replied, "Yes, an account has been locked, and it is confirmed that it is rapper Emmy Eminem." What's his ID? Fuck, you really dare to step into Lao Tzu's territory, Eric thought to himself. But on second thought, no, the ruffian Eminem shouldn't have known that Facebook was his own company at all. Eric enters the ruffian Eminem's homepage, and there is a photo and 2 stories on it. The photo is a stage photo of the concert, and Eminem is pointing ahead and yelling at the microphone. One of the dynamics is to promote Just Lost It, and the other is to show off his Billboard ranking, which is now at number 5. Putting aside the inferior means, if you only talk about strength, the ruffian Eminem is indeed good. The number of his fans shows that it is 71,000, which is quite good, and it can catch up with many first-class actors. The film and television industry and the music industry have always had obvious barriers, but they are closely related. The current situation in Huaxia is that the music industry is better than the film and television industry, and singers make more money than actors, but after 10 years, the Chinese music scene will completely decline, and the film and television industry will dominate. The European and American markets are different, and the influence of the film and television industry and the music industry has always been indistinguishable, and it is still the same after 20 years. In terms of earning power, top singers surpass top actors, but in terms of world influence and popularity, the latter surpasses the former. After all, songs are too limited by language, and film and television are relatively small. There are hundreds of comments under Eminem's feed, almost all of which are fans shouting to keep rushing, vowing to win the top spot on the Billboard list this week. Eric snorted coldly and looked at his subordinates. "Blocked Eminem's account for me." Fitzheitenberg had been following the boss's situation and knew that Eric had a holiday with the ruffian Eminem, but he still raised his own concerns. "Boss, isn't it inappropriate to ban the account rashly like this? After all, Facebook has just been launched, and if there is no reason to ban the account, will it cause concern and disgust among users? If you cause it, you think users will give up using Facebook because of a ban? I tell you, impossible. Human desire for novelty is irrepressible. Let me ask you, if there is an adult website, when you log in, the antivirus software warns you that the access is risky. Will you ignore the risk and continue to access it or log out? Men understand this question, and everyone present laughed nonstop. Fitz also smiled. "Boss, it's okay to ban him. I just don't want to leave a bad reputation on Facebook. Maybe we can find a more suitable reason to be famous." If I say seal him, he will be blocked. There is no reason. Eric waved his hand and said domineeringly. Phone personally also makes excuses. Who doesn't know about his holiday with the ruffian Eminem, and finding a suitable reason will be considered a personal vendetta of the communique. Then I'm looking for a fart. I'm a communique personal vendetta. I'm revenge. What's the matter?
Seal.
The technical brother nodded, and with a few simple buttons, Eminem's account has become inaccessible. After sealing Eminem's account, Eric suddenly felt refreshed, as if he had avenged his revenge. But if you think about it carefully, it seems to be sloppy, and you should wait for his account to be done before you close it. Now there are less than 100,000 fans, and it doesn't hurt to seal him, so it doesn't make much sense. For a singer like Eminem, it won't take too long for tens of millions of fans, and it's only interesting to ban him at that time. Forget it, the seal is all sealed, and it makes no sense to think about it so much. Shaking his head, Eric stopped thinking about it and called MYK. It took a while for the phone to go through, and Eric heard a cacophony of screams across the line. Sorry, Eric, I'm at the launch event, and the event isn't over yet. Hear it? It looks like you're very hot over there. Yes, there are a lot of fans here today, and I didn't expect a lot of them, and there are a lot of older fans, and I was very touched to see them. Haha, that's what makes you attractive. I think it's the early hits that worked, and the quality of Rolling in the Deep is really good, and everybody is complimenting it, Eric, and you have a lot of credit for that. Did the critics and listeners compliment me?
Mec ou Smiled.
You can see this for yourself. You will find interesting things. Isn't it, really? You can buy a few music magazines and look at them. Well, since you mentioned it, it looks like I'll have to take a look. By the way, how many CDs did DreamWorks burn in the first batch? 500,000 copies, all of which have been put on the North American market. If all of them are as hot as today's sales, I guess this number is still too conservative. Rest assured, David Geffen is not stupid. No one will have trouble with money, and he will know how to do it when it is profitable. Thank you, Eric. Thanks to you. Was a sincere voice of thanks from my co on the phone. It's too early to say thank you. I just watched Eminem's Facebook feed, and his song has already rushed to number 5 on the Billboard in a week. So we have to work harder, do more promotion, and don't forget to open a Facebook account. Okay, hang up. Everybody is calling my name. With a phone call, the number of new users has increased by several thousand, which is a good statistic. At this time, the technical brother suddenly said, Boss, Amy Am's account has been detected again. Do you want to continue to block it? Huh? Are you sure it's me? Sure. Don't seal it this time. Let him manage it well, and then seal it for me when the scale of fans is large. Huh? Hearing this, everyone looked at Eric with wide eyes. The boss is going to play pig farming. In a state of mental concentration, time always flies quickly, and before you know it, it is already 10 o'clock in the evening. More and more celebrities responded to the call of Cooper and his sons, Godot, Bar Leffley, Jigsaw, Hugo Mortensen, Chris Evans, and James Franco, Transformers, etc. have opened accounts, and the number of users is also surging further. 910,000, 920,000, 930,000, 990,000, 1 million. Yes. In less than 24 hours, the number of Facebook users exceeded 1 million, and the entire floor was instantly plunged into madness. After months of struggle, many people have cried with joy. A few technical guys ran to the corner and took out a few large boxes, took out the streamers prepared in advance, and the horns blew them up. Inspired by the warm atmosphere, Eric stepped onto the table and pointed to the sky. Bring me a song, we are the champions. In an instant, the rousing music from Queen resounded throughout the floor, and everyone screamed and hugged each other excitedly. The movement was too loud, and it quickly attracted people who worked overtime on the 2 layers of Lionheart and YouTube. When they heard that Facebook had already registered over 1 million new users, they happily joined the frenzy. This is great news that Facebook users will be driven to Lionheart and YouTube in the future, and the stronger Facebook is, the better it will be able to build a foundation for both. Fitzsatzenberg took a bottle of champagne and handed it to Eric. Boss, to be honest, no one could have imagined that this bottle of champagne would come in handy on the first day. Eric took it with a smile and shook it vigorously.
Bang!
There was a crunch. The plug was already flying somewhere, and the foam sprinkled a white line directly in the air. Looking at the jubilant crowd, Eric decided to cheer them on again. He exclaimed, "All Facebook team members, $10,000 each, along with next month's salary. Long live the boss. Yes, long live the hooray." Nothing was more inspiring than a direct cash prize, cheers and roars almost toppling the floor, and Uncle Ya's sexy voice was inaudible. The revelry continued until midnight, and under Fitzsatzenberg's control, everyone exercised restraint and never drank alcohol. As the bell rang at 12 o'clock, the screen data was frozen at 1.13 million. A natural day of more than 1 million users. If this data is released, even internet giants such as Microsoft, Apple, and Yahoo will inevitably drop their jaws. Entertainment companies engage in social media, a combination that seems strange to anyone, but it is incredibly easy to achieve. Most of the results are due to the strong star resources behind MGM. The stars take the lead in fans to follow up, and the people eat the set. Who is to blame? If it is an ordinary company, assuming that it is a more technologically powerful technology company, it will definitely not be able to do this. How many people do you know as a technician? How many people do you know in management? How many people do you know with your CEO? Unless it's a predator like Bill Gates or Steve Jobs. But can one Bill Gates be compared to hundreds of Hollywood stars? I have to put a question mark when I think about it. The next day, before mid-morning, people arrived at work one after another, and Eric and Fitz, along with a few tech guys, stayed here all night. Yawned and got up from the couch. As usual, I looked at the background data first, and the number of users has changed from 1.13 million to 1.35 million, and it is terrifying that there can be such a sharp increase after midnight. It didn't take long for Fitzsatzenberg to walk up to Eric with a stack of magazines. "Boss, all the music magazines in the nearby store have been bought." Eric looked through as he ate his breakfast. After talking to MJ on the phone yesterday, he became interested in music criticism, and he didn't know what those people said about him. Looking at the magazines such as Blender, Revolver, Paper, and Popstar in front of him, Eric shook his head and realized that he didn't recognize any of them. I flipped through the pages and found a music review for MJ's new song, but the music critic Eric still didn't know any of them. Robert Christgau, Rolling in the Deep, is a song with a lot of ups and downs, 3.5 stars and a half difficult to sing, and from this song, I can hear Michael Jackson telling his own story. His voice is both ethereal and explosive, and if you're a Jackson fan, you can understand the meaning of the song, and if you're not a fan of his, you'll be a fan of him. What surprised me even more was that I heard a change in the song. Jackson was changing his style, and Rolling in the Deep had a clear touch of modern pop that I thought would be beneficial for young listeners. So far, Rolling in the Deep is the best song I've heard this year, and next year's Grammys will inevitably be nominated, and even win the Song of the Year award, with an A+ recommendation index. The music critic's comment took up a page and seemed to be important, and Eric read it carefully and looked around and asked, "Robert Christgau, do you know who this guy is?" Everyone, you look at me, I look at you, and after a moment a girl raised her hand. "Well, if it's music, I know him." "Tell me, is he famous in the field of music?" The girl's eyes widened. "Boss, you can't say that you are very famous. To be precise, you should be very famous. If you use an analogy in the film and television industry, you can see him as Hitchcock in the director and Chaplin in the actor." "That's amazing," said Eric, a little surprised. The girl nodded very firmly. In the eyes of ordinary listeners, he is the most authoritative music critic in the United States, and an excellent review can help the record increase hundreds of thousands of sales. But if it is a bad review, what does ordinary listeners mean? It is the broadest audience who like music but do not have in-depth professional research and do not know how to distinguish between various types of music, similar to this. Eric clapped his hands. That's enough. The voice of the people is the voice of the professional. The voice of the people can sell for money, and the professional can't sell a fart. Saying that, he walked over and handed the magazine to the girl. Help me see. What level is the recommendation of A+? OMG, A+, but Robert's highest level recommendation. Let me see whose song gets an A+. After reading the comments carefully, the girl was a little surprised. Michael Jackson, it's him. This is really unimaginable. I remember that he got A on his last album, and the strength of the old king really can't be ignored. Eric looked at Heisenberg. Fitz shook his head awkwardly. Sorry, boss. Phil doesn't know that MJ is your good friend. Everyone has been very busy lately, and I haven't had a break since I came back from MGM last time, and I don't know how the outside world has changed in the past few days. Eric shrugged. Okay, is there a big difference between A+ and A-? The girl named Phil nodded vigorously. Very big. If the album gets A+, it means that every song in it is a high-quality song. Note that every song. Robert's annual A+ album selection is limited to 3, and sometimes even 1 can't be rated a year. It's better to have more than to have more, and the same is true for many authoritative film festivals. Eric applauded. Yes, if Robert gives an A+ evaluation, then the album that includes this song in the future, as long as it is done with high quality, will generally receive an A+. The number of A is even higher, about 60 per year, and a few bad songs or mediocre works are allowed on the album. In short, don't look at the difference of only 2 grades. It actually represents a huge difference in level. Fister. Phil continued to flip through the magazine. Boss, I really want to see your name, saying that your lyrics and music have added a lot to Rolling in the Deep. You are the foundation of this song, and praise you for being a genius. No, is Eric Cooper the one written on this you? Being stared at by the girl, Eric was also a little embarrassed, but he reluctantly admitted it. In this way, you are not only a rich second generation, but also a director and screenwriter, but also a genius lyricist and a genius composer. The woman's eyes widened. Phil, your voice is too loud, and you don't need to jump in excitement. Finding that everyone's eyes were focused, with the thickness of Eric's face, it was inevitable that he would be slightly red. Oh my God, boss, I adore you so much. I don't know that you're an internet prodigy. Finding that there was something wrong with the other party's eyes, which seemed to be too enthusiastic, Eric coughed a few times and said loudly, Everyone hear clearly. The relationship between Facebook and me and MGM is tentatively classified and strictly forbidden to be leaked. By the way, and the number of our users, it should also be kept strictly confidential. I don't care about the media's speculation, but if you let me know that it was an insider leak, then I'm sorry. Do you remember it? Looking around, everyone nodded solemnly. If it's a small team, let alone 1 million users a day, even if it's only 100,000, you have to quickly publicize it. The first purpose is to attract new users and, more importantly, to attract the attention of large companies or investment funds. The former can be bought at a high price and become a billionaire. The latter will bring financing and allow the team to grow bigger and stronger. It's just that these 2 points are what Eric can't avoid now. He is short of money, but he is not short of money to develop Facebook, and he must first get Facebook up and down if he makes a few fewer movies. He is worried about the acquisition of large companies, and even more worried that if the acquisition does not work, it will usher in a strong competitor or a technology blockade. After all, Facebook and AK Pictures are completely different companies. It doesn't matter if AK Films Eric opens another 10 stores, because those big film and television companies have several subsidiaries in the West, some of which are used to produce and distribute art films, and some are used to specialize in independent films, which at most attract the attention of other film and television companies. Facebook's influence and potential are much greater, and it will not be small fish and shrimp that smells of it, but maybe internet giants or upstarts such as Microsoft and Yahoo. Don't look down on Yahoo, although after the internet bubble, Yahoo has indeed suffered a lot of vitality, and its market value has fallen by 90%, but even so it still exceeds $10 billion US. The development of the past 2 years has slowed it down again, and now the market value has risen again. So you can cover the news for as long as you can, even if Facebook will lose money, and you have to invest $100 or $200 million in it every year, then you have to hold it, and you can hold it for as long as you can. It is really the time to choose to go public and embrace capital, so that at least you can fight for a greater right to speak for yourself. To be honest, Eric really doesn't want to go public, because once it goes public, it will inevitably be restrained by Wall Street, and the short-sightedness of those vampires is famous all over the world. Even though Eric used to be in the entertainment industry, he knew something about it. Too many companies have been ruthlessly abandoned after just 1 year of earnings that did not meet Wall Street's expectations. He remembers an online shopping platform whose quarterly earnings were 2 cents less per share than Wall Street's expectations, and the stock was downgraded by a rating company as soon as the results came out, and the stock fell by more than half in an instant. It was later revealed that the company's shares were maliciously shorted by hedge funds, and the number of shares sold was more than 10 times the amount it actually owned. Although it was invalidated due to the inability to deliver on time, the company's stock has already plummeted, and it is over. Dealing with these people on Wall Street is no different from seeking skin with tigers. Shaking his head, Eric thought that this matter had to be calculated and find a better way to find it possible, and it was estimated that he would definitely be targeted next year at the most. Thinking back, Eric said, "Check Michael Jackson's account and see if he has opened it." Soon, the technical brother locked the target. "Boss, I found it. The number of fans is 180,000, and the account registration time is after 9 o'clock last night, and the registration time is so late. So many fans can still be increased. Tell me the ID." Then, Eric retrieved MJ's Facebook and clicked on the homepage, which also contained a few photos and 2 stories. The first dynamic is a few classic stage moves. "My fans, it's a pleasure to meet you on Facebook. Thank you very much for your continued support. Without you, there would be no Michael Jackson. I hope I can accompany you all the way." Second is to promote a new song, and it comes with a Billboard chart, which is currently at number 98. This data does not include any sales results, just the data broadcast on the radio in the previous days, which is a relatively small part of the Billboard algorithm. However, the fact that it can break into the top 100 based on radio data alone already shows the popularity of Rolling in the Deep. The following comments have exceeded 1,000, and Eric can't help but be a little strange. Now the people who are on Facebook should be mainly young people, and they should not be the main group of MJ fans. When I opened it, it turned out that there were a lot of black fans, disgusting people, and the 2 sides were scolding. Fitz probed over and looked, and before Eric could speak, he made a suggestion. "Boss, there are a lot of people this time, and if you want to block their account, you have to find a reasonable excuse. I have a proposal. Say, you first ask Jackson to post a post to restrain the fans. Then we officially reminded everyone to speak healthily, and at this time the average person will be more restrained. Let the technology make a few more virtual accounts with rhythm, provoke the anger of these black fans. As long as they spit out half a dirty word, they will be sealed forever." Eric jerked his head back and looked at Fitz Heitenberg carefully. "I can't see it, Fitz. It's really unseemly." Fitz smiled and scratched his head. Actually, in addition to tinkering with technology, I also have a hobby. What is it? Fishing.